What's up, Breath of Fire fans? We got something really fun for you today. We're going to be making a Breath of Fire tier list. A tier list for the first game. We're discussing which characters we think are the coolest. We're not talking about their functionality in combat. We're not talking about how effective they are in terms of optimal damage in battle or speedrun strategies, things like that. We're strictly talking about which ones we think are the coolest, the most fun, the most interesting. So, Livnat, you want to get us started off? Where are we starting off with the top tier, with the Breath of Fire 1 character tier list?
I think we should probably go at them one by one and rank them to have our opinion about them.
Okay.
I think it will be more organized for me because my brain is kind of work plot wise. So I think we can start with Ryu. I thought he was pretty awesome and he has a lot of versatility. Um, he has sister issues, I guess. That would be the best way to describe it.
Seems like it, yeah.
And he seems pretty cool. I mean, he decided to go head on against the Empire all by himself. He's pretty fun to use. He doesn't say too much, but he has a few lines in the game which, if you pay attention closely, you can notice them. One of them, he whispers his sister's name when he's like in the castle of Winland. So I'm kind of in favor to put him on the A rank because
I
again,
agree.
I don't think he has too much involved with him. Story wise, it's very straightforward. He's looking for his sister. He doesn't talk, which at one it both give you the option to identify with him and project yourself into him, but at the same time it kind of takes away of what he could have been. So I'm putting him in A. What do you think?
I agree. He's the classic silent protagonist, and he's done well in that role. I think he's got a cool character design. I like Ryu 1 visually a lot, and I love his kind of coat that he's got. I thought that was a cool touch that he doesn't really have in the succeeding games. I I have to agree with A. I think that he's interesting enough for a silent protagonist, but not quite as fun or interesting as the other characters. Obviously, he's got the dragon forms going on, and he's one of your primary damage dealers and this sort of thing. So he's compelling on that level, but taking the whole picture into account, the character and things like that, I'd say he's solidly A tier.
Sounds good. Um, Sounds good to me. I think that will probably be more our agreeable rank and character with the coming ones.
Possibly.
Yeah. Okay, so I think next will be Nina. The default version, not the older version. We're talking about the default one when she's just a kid. I'm going to say, I know you won't agree with me, but I'm going to put her straight up in S, and I'm going to tell you why. She has a lot of personality. She's very spiky. She has her opinion. She's very versatile. She talks back to Bleu slash Deis, and they have a lot of back and forth. And her plot is very relevant to a lot of segments in the story. Between that and the Wizard of Karma and the fact she's going on set off by herself to fight the wizard and recover her dad, and later on she decides to go on a quest to save the world even though she's a princess. She's not very typically princess like, and she's very feisty. Plus, in her manual guide, apparently her favorite thing is actually to eat, and I love her just for that. Um,
I think she'll
and
capture a lot of hearts just for that feature alone.
yes, so I think she has a lot of segment involved, including the later on Tower of Time, where she's a little bit involved in more plot relevant stories. She speaks a lot. She has moments where she is just by herself and speaking up her mind. So I'm definitely going to put her in S.
I think you make a compelling argument. You know that I'm not the biggest fan of Nina 1, possibly because I just find Nina 2 more interesting. But I think Nina had a pretty good showing in Breath of Fire 1. She had the kind of classic cleric role with some supportive magic, and she is definitely a compelling character in terms of Breath of Fire 1.
Mm-hmm.
This is tough for me to say. I don't feel. I personally would not put her in S, but you make a pretty good argument. I think there's an argument to be made that she and Bleu/Deus belong in S because they're so integral to the plot, and they contribute a lot to the overall character interaction in the game. They're kind of dynamic in their relationship. So I'll I'll roll with Nina being in S for now, but that leaves the issue of where does the kind of time thrown Nina fit into this? Where does the more adult form of Nina fit in? Does she go into A or does she go into S as well? Or how do you
No,
feel about that?
no. From this point, she become less relevant to the plot and more generic. And I'll explain more. By the way, another reason I put in her in S because she's damn speedy at the start of the game, and this saves a lot. I don't remember if her adult version is as fast. I think she loses her speed in terms of a little bit more damage, but that's kind of loses her purpose. So I'm going to. You want us to go over adult Nina now?
Say why not? Because they're essentially the same character in a lot of ways. We're just kind of talking about different aspects of the character. I actually find her more compelling when she gets to that point of the game because of the whole great bird and the the curl element. Yeah, I find Curl really interesting in the game. I think she's one of the more fascinating characters, not just villains, but NPCs in general in the game. And I
It's,
find just about everything involved with her more interesting. So I would personally put that form of Nina above the regular one, but obviously we have a disagreement here.
I think the older version comes after we are done with Coral. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure she comes later after
Yes, but she was affected by the whole time thing, is what I'm talking
Oh,
about, right?
okay. I If I had to choose, I would put adult Nina in B, or A.
No, I think that's way too low. Yeah, A. I'd go with A. Let's put
Okay,
her in A.
so I put her in A. She's again a little bit stronger. She's cool. Our dress is kind of different, which is even more cooler. Um, she start to resemble Nina from Breath of Fire 2 in both look and behavior. She's more mature. She's adult. She has the power
And
of the Great
obviously she
Bird.
has a cameo in Breath of Fire too. Yeah, and
Exactly.
she's intimately tied up with the power of the Great Bird, which I love. I mean, look, obviously, anytime you get flight in an RPG, it's a big deal. It's really fun and very freeing because you're able to quickly get across the world map that you've been trudging across for hours and hours of your life. So that gets her points alone from me, and the fact that that's kind of the form she takes in Breath of Fire 2, which I thought was a wonderful, wonderful cameo
Exactly.
and created a real sense of continuity in the series that Final Fantasy doesn't have.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Too
yeah, I'm
too bad. Like as far as I could find, I couldn't find like an official newer version of Adult Nina. There is Adult Nina version back when the design was earlier, when she even had like the same pink outfit. I know there's like somewhere an image of Adult Nina with a wedding look-alike dress, and she's definitely looking like Nina from Breath of Fire 2. So yeah,
That's fascinating. Okay, so let's go on to where are we putting the kind of wolf man?
is cool, but I feel like he's very limited to the segment he's in. I mean, when you get him, you can have your way. Your passing begins to be quicker. He's an archer. He's stronger. He's very he can take damage. That's what I'm trying to say. And at the same time, he's kind of jack of all trade in a way. But he doesn't. I feel like that a part of his own segment where he can shine really strongly if you take a certain path when you try to rescue the chief of Tanter or Tunter. Um, Aside of that, I don't think he contribute too much to the plot. Aside of the shining, the shamanized version of Karen, so I think I'm going to put him in B. He's a good character, but not the best. That's what I think.
Okay, I could roll with that. I could also see him being an A. I like Bo a lot, and part of that may be that I feel that he really set that early trend of having a kind of a faithful side character in the series that is dog-like,
True.
that has the canine appearance, and obviously he's not exactly like Bo from Breath of Fire 2, because Bo is a bit heavier set and a more comedic character. So personality wise, they're very different, but they're both these kind of loyal, dependable dog figures. So it plays on that whole trope. One of the wonderful things about Breath of Fire being that it has these anthropomorphic characters that kind of have these stereotypical associations with the animals that they look like. And so I love that. I love his design. And like you, I think that he's very interesting when he comes in. He's got a good initial arc. Of course, one of my issues with this game is that, somewhat like Breath of Fire 2, it doesn't always follow up with the characters. And so he kind of fades into the background as things go on. So I can see him being in B. It hurts my heart a little bit to put him there, but at least it's appropriate to his name, B for Bo.
I mean, he's better archer than Bo from the second game, and he can cross through the woods. So he take both the functionality of Bo, Cat, and Spar. But at the same time, I feel like there's stronger character in Breath of Fire 1. That's why I'm kind of more harsh, even though he's probably one of my favorite character in the game. So
same, and that's why this is tough to do, because we're having to be a little tough on these characters, and we love all of them. I think I'm pretty safe in saying I know I do, and so nothing against Bo here, and he's still in a fairly high tier. In a fighting game that would be considered sort of mid-high tier at least. So he's doing pretty well. Okay, so what about Karn?
I'm really want to put him in S, but I'm not too sure. I feel like he's very adorable. He's exactly what you expect of a roguelike character to be. Again, because I've played the game in English and I'm not too sure what the original translation were, I feel like he was probably a lot more charming. Because he seemed like, this care for nothing thief. He's like, when you get to Oria, you get locked up right away, but he sets you free. He say, oh, what, you want me to set you free? Okay. And again, then go back to sleep in the cell. And then there's the guild. He needs to prove himself he's a worthy thief. So he go to the fifth tombs, and he has the shaman's power, so he can morph to a lot of cool characters, and he definitely seems more of a punk. So I'm leaning for either S or A.
I agree that he's an interesting character. I'm thinking more A personally, and it's a little hard for me to articulate why. Initially, I didn't like Karn very much, and that may be, again, because he looks humanoid, and to me, a lot of the appeal of Breath of Fire is that they have these, animal-like characters, and I find that really fun and charming and cute. But upon going back and seeing, other playthroughs of the game, and Livnat and I have recently been watching a speed run to get a sense of how that works, it has become more apparent to me that Karn is a really fascinating character. He does have a lot of personality, especially when we're talking in terms of this game. I think compared to the rest of the cast, he's very distinctive. He really makes a name for himself as a believable personality and character. And I do like the whole fusion thing, not only because it kind of gives him a second wind in terms of usefulness and introduces that whole kind of shamanized idea that Breath of Fire 2 carries forward as well, but because it makes it feel that there's something more to him lore-wise. I don't remember exactly what was going on, but I do remember that there was kind of a suggestion that these things were left for him and in these secret places, and which is kind of fun to begin with. I think Breath of Fire 1 was really cool about its kind of very well-hidden secrets and Easter eggs and things like this. That even today are a bit bewildering for people. You really got to use, facts and things like that to figure out what in the hell's going on. But just in terms of a storyline perspective, I think he's fascinating, because the question becomes, what is so special about him? How did he develop the ability or inherit the ability to fuse with people in this way, or other characters in this way. So I do like that. I think he belongs at least in A, but at the same time, again, I just didn't find him as visually interesting in and of himself as compared to the rest of the characters. His fusions are really fun and eye-catching, but to me, I think the characters like Bleu and Nina and Ryu and Ox look better visually, just in and of themselves,
Mm-hmm.
and that's part of why I'm rolling with him in A personally. I think there's a very good argument to be made that he belongs in S, but I'm personally leaning towards A.
I can work with it. Also, it's worth to mention that when I scanned a few screenshots of the Japanese version, where Karn looks a bit different, and we will go over why in another segment. Apparently, the Shaman Master also have the same skin tone, which was kind of cool touch. So yeah, there's that. So that was pretty
Yeah,
cool.
I mean, obviously his actual original appearance in the Japanese version is very problematic.
Yeah.
And that may be part of my issue with the character. It's just, obviously that embraced some pretty ugly stereotypes. At the same time, I'm really looking at just the version of the character that I remember from the North American release, which is what I played.
Yeah.
And so that's not really too much of an issue for me. But yeah, Karn's an interesting character, if nothing else, for a lot of those, aforementioned issues.
Agreed.
Okay, so what about Gobi? Where
S.
are we rolling with him?
He says he's damn
Thank you.
I know he stopped to be important after the whole C section, but he's just so funny.
He has such a good showing in that part. I mean, like Karn, you've got no question about Gobi's personality. He's a complete cheapskate. He's not going to be particularly honest, or scrupulous when it comes to making money. But at the same time, he does kind of demonstrate his dependability, and he's kind of a badass, because when you get into that undersea area, your party is incapacitated, and so you have to rely on him. And I remember finding that to be a very rough part of the game in game, but in terms of storyline progression, Gobi was a hard ass and just funny as hell. I like the comedic characters in Breath of Fire. I think Breath of Fire 2 did it better. Certainly did it very well. But I love the comedy bits in Breath of Fire. The humor of Breath of Fire is a big part of what appeals to me. So Gobi has to be top tier for me.
I love it where the joke about him being so greedy was carried on throughout, where like in Breath of Fire 2, you can fish him with gold. Him or someone that looks like him and carries his name. He's definitely have, he's greedy, but he also have a heart of gold, because at the same time he could just abandon the group and take their money, and he didn't. And he ended up like having a whole like redeeming arc in a way. And another cute thing, I don't know if a lot of people notice, the character has an option to eat things from houses. And they can eat apples and fruits and fish. But if you have Gobi at the front and you have an option to eat a fish, you will say, like he won't eat the fish. So that's pretty cool. Also, I love the all undersea segments. I don't think they ever gone back to do it as amazingly as they did in Breath of Fire 1. The whole music and touch, it was pretty cool. Too bad like he's not very useful above land, and his fusion form is kind of useless above land as well, which is kind of dumb, because you get his fusion form after the whole C segment is done. So that's a little bad planning right there, but aside of that, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, that entire sequence in the game was really cool, and there's nothing else in the series like it, and I love the music as well. So for me, it's an easy S tier. Okay, what about the big man, Ox?
I want to say A.
Okay.
I to be honest, I'm torn between A and B. I feel like he has something big going on for him, but at the same time, it kind of starts and ends with his own segment, just like Bo. He's very useful. I mean, he can knock down trees. He has a very cute like animation if he tried to knock something down and he can't do it, like he's crying and his fist is get like bumped. It's so adorable and cute.
He's got a lot
And
of character with things like that for sure.
yeah, apparently he was supposed to have some kind of a cart that he was supposed to carry in a very early planning, but it was cut down. So he's useful. You need him to do a lot of things, to break through walls, and you can do a lot of quick paces through areas if he's there. His fusion form is pretty strong. Um, Story-wise, he's kind of cool. He has a wife and she's pregnant, and he wants to save her and save all the women, and he really cared nothing about like a side of what's important, which is families and friends. So it's pretty cool, but at the same time, he wasn't too evolved in the plot. So I'm leaning to either A or B. Kind of more
I
for
feel the
B.
same way, and yeah, personally, I'd like to see him in A, but A is already pretty crowded, and I think in the interest of being objective, we can roll with B. Again, it hurts my heart to do it because I love Ox. You know, personally, I would rate him more highly, but if we're trying to be neutral here, I think B is a fair place for him. Love the big guy. Love that it's all about family for him. Obviously, his wife was taken captive, and that's what drives him, and he goes on to join you for the rest of your journey, and he's still an important part of the party in terms of the fusions, if you are lucky enough to find them or be aware of them. But like Nut said, he doesn't really have a lot of place in the actual plot going forward. So I can see with B. Okay, but I think this is a character we're going to agree on. How about the
Woo!
beloved snake lady, Bleu/Deus?
I won't be surprised if in the actual Force game she's also alcoholic, just exactly as she's hinted to be in Breath of Fire 2, but it was probably more tuned down in the NA version. So
We need to
she's.
check that.
I
We
get
really
the
need to check that.
feeling. I get the feeling she's all about like lost and gore and eating and drinking herself wild, because you can see the same type of character going forward in 3 and 4, but in 1 she was crazily awesome. Like she will do things and then like oops, like I
She's
know
a
what I'm
superstar.
doing. Like I know what I'm doing. Shut up, and then like messes things up and like uh yeah, I don't care. Like she's such a diva, and I like her back
Blue,
and
I
forth
think
with Nina.
there's no doubt that she's an S tier. She's top tier. I mean, she's top tier throughout the series. I mean, she's right there with Ryu and Nina in terms of being an iconic Breath of Fire character. Except she's probably more interesting in many ways. I think consistently so. I think Ryu had a really good showing in 3 and 4. I think Nina obviously had her strongest showing in 2, and perhaps a fairly strong showing in 4. Pretty good showing here as well. But I think Blue/Deus, however you want to refer to her, has been consistently strong throughout the series. I mean, she's funny, she's interesting, because they obviously developed her into this more of a divine figure. She's got a huge part in the plot of 3, and that's kind of neither here nor there, because we're talking about within Breath of Fire 1. But
Hmm.
obviously with characters like Ryu, Nina, and Deus, they take on kind of this larger life where we think of them in terms of their overall shape throughout the series, because they're obviously intended to be these archetypal figures that keep recurring throughout history, or just living throughout history in Deus's case. So yeah, she's top tier. Okay, so what about our poor little mole guy,
If I could,
Mogu?
I put him in D, but I'm going to be gentle and put him in C. I'm sorry,
Yeah,
I don't see his functional. I mean, he's cute. His design is just adorable. He has his functions, but he comes way too late in the game. His plot is he could just be an NPC, and that would be fine with me. You know, just like Nikolai's or other NPC that were there where you save them and that's it. Uh, when you get him, I don't think he's part of the shaman's form. Yeah, he's not. He's kind of weak. He has like his own stuff going on for him, but it's way too late and he's not too relevant aside of the whole segment of the nightmare, which was kind of cool. I guess they took reference for this for the whole spar segment in Breath of Fire 2 and the Dreamland. with the dream pillow or something, but
That was an interesting segment in both games, for
yes.
sure. And I agree. I actually like Mogu a lot because, like you said, he does have a very cute design. But I agree that he comes way too late in the game, and it feels like the developers were just trying to figure out a way to shoehorn another playable character in so that you hadn't gone too long without a new character. And it's very late in the game, and he doesn't contribute much. The whole digging thing is kind of cool, and I do like that feature of the game that so many of the characters have something they can actually functionally do on the world map. It makes it feel very different than a lot of other RPGs.
Mm-hmm.
But I agree, and like again, I like Mogu. Nothing against him. You'll notice that we didn't dip into D and E, and I think that was intentional because we like all the characters. We're not trying to crap on any of them. We just think that obviously some are more interesting, cooler, or more compelling than others. And Mogu just ain't at the top of that list. I'm sorry. So okay,
and not to forget that this current tier is more about like the fun of the character, not about their combat ability. When we do that,
right.
the whole chart will be completely different. So
Yeah, that will obviously shake up a lot. Okay, so we've got the overall outline of the tier list. Do you want to reorder any of the characters within the tiers to reflect? Like, look personally, I'd be for putting Bleu / Deus at the number one spot. Is that possible to do? Can we rearrange them, or are they set the way they are now?
like to switch her with Nina.
Right.
Yeah, I can do that. Give me a minute. Wait. Yes.
Okay, great.
And then probably Gobi and then Nina. I can agree
I
with
agree.
that. And then I would even argue that Karn is even
Karn above. I agree.
Nina, and I would like to keep Bo because I think Bo is more function like
It's a big deal, yeah.
especially at the start of the game. You get him is kind of like your strongest
He's more
asset.
important,
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah. So yeah, that
I
would be
agree.
your list.
Okay, I think it looks pretty solid.
Yeah.
I think it's hard to argue with Deus as being the coolest character in the game.
For sure.
She's got a lot of fans, a lot of fan art devoted to her. I'll be curious. I think some people may disagree with our Ryu placement. Again, nothing against him. I think it's a fairly good, strong showing for the character in the series, but I felt like Ryu 3 and 4 were better. That's just my opinion.
I guess because they were more
character.
because they were, even though they didn't speak as much, they were more animated in a way or put in a situation where their personality could shine in one way or another. Even Breath of Fire 2 Ryo has this situation where he's like scared or unsure or shy or like, and it felt like Breath of Fire 1 didn't get it.
Helped with Ryu 2 a lot, as well as with 3. Obviously, I think Ryu 4 is one of the strongest iterations of the character, but
agreed.
Yeah, like I think the issue with Ryu 1 is just that it's Capcom's first RPG effort, and he feels like a more standard RPG silent protagonist lead, where he's just kind of passively progressing through the sequence of events, and we don't really see that he's too strongly affected by them, except in the beginning where we have the whole Sarah sequence of events and that sort of thing.
Agreed.
Where I feel like he's a little more humanized, but as the game goes on, he kind of becomes more and more passive and kind of sinks into the background as far as being a character that you actively have a sense of, and that's why I just think that Deus, Gobi, and Nina are more interesting. Agreed. Possibly even Karn.
Agreed. In some way, I kind of wish there was a project to retranslate Breath of Fire 1 and 2, with official, better translation. But that's
one really needs it. Yeah. People talk about 2, and that's a story for another day. Lunat and I have our own feelings about the translation, the localization of 2 in North America, but people crap on that game's script. But I think Breath of Fire 1 actually suffered more in terms of the localization. Agreed. I think more was lost. Yeah.
Kind of like if you think about it. Kind of like if you think about it, it's the same way like with Secret of Mana 1. I mean, it was translated, 100%. But a lot of it is lost. So,
which is a shame.
Yeah.
But anyway, we've got the tier list hammered out here.
Yep.
We're gonna put this out, and we're gonna share it on Twitter at some point in kind of an image form, and let everyone tell us what they think. But look, please, if you have watched all the way up to this point, let us know what you think. Drop a comment, and of course, please like, share, and subscribe to support Breath of Fire. Support us as fellow Breath of Fire fans. We would love to hear from you. We'd love to hear what you think, even if you completely think we were in the wrong. That's okay. Let us know what did we get wrong. We want to get a discussion going. So it's been fun, y'all, making this Breath of Fire tier list.
Exactly. Woo.
So all right, until next time, I guess we're gonna be saying goodbye. But hope you're all doing well and taking care, and we'll catch you with another video very shortly.
Thank you, everyone, and see you soon. Smell you guys later.